Yale experts explain carbon neutrality. Climate scholars Ken Gillingham, Peter Boyd, and Brad Gentry offer their insight into what carbon neutrality means and what it might take to achieve net zero emissions. What is carbon neutrality? Carbon neutrality means net zero carbon, says Ken Gillingham, associate professor of economics. This means that any actions that lead to emissions would be accompanied by other actions that confidently reduce or offset emissions. In contrast to net zero carbon, Gillingham explains that zero carbon means having no emissions at all, something he deems to be impossible in today's society, and carbon positive means that you sequester more carbon emissions than you emit. Peter Boyd, resident fellow at the Center for Business and the Environment and mentor in residence at the Tsai Center for Innovative Thinking, states that carbon neutrality is not about achieving absolute zero, but instead reducing our human-caused emissions to the level where the natural world has an ability to absorb it so we can observe a planet in an equilibrium. To simplify it, Boyd likes to think of carbon neutrality like living on a campsite. We, as human hikers, want to leave the campsite as good as we found it, Boyd says. That means that the water flowing upstream is just as good as the water flowing downstream of our campsite. What are the benefits of going carbon neutral? Brad Gentry, the F.G. Weyerhaeuser Professor in the Practice of Forest Resources Management and Policy, explains that becoming carbon neutral is part of our civic responsibilities, as a large part of the solution to climate change is going to be reducing emissions.